Right everyone, we've not got long left before the end of MW3, and you might remember a while ago I started a series on how to get better at the game, which I stopped halfway through because I couldn't be bothered doing any more vids. But now we haven't got long of this left, and it'd be nice if a few more people got MOABs before the game was done. I know Rich got one a couple of weeks ago. And even if you don't, I think this vid's going to help you out with Black Ops 2 as well, because the ideas are the same. Now, I've already done 3 vids, one on setup, one on how to aim, one on basic tactics. I was going to do one more on tactics and then a last one on how to fight. But I probably won't have time for the one on how to fight, so it's just going to be one on tactics and that's it. And I reckon this is going to be the most important one I've done so far. I could just go on and on about all sorts of stuff which everyone will probably forget anyway. Like, there's a million tactics you can use in this game. So I'm not just going to cover absolutely everything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a basic, simple way to actually play. It's a 4-step plan, so it's something you should do every time you spawn. So every time you spawn, you start at 1 and just run through it, and then keep doing it. Before I get going, just a word about the vid in the background. There's going to be a lockdown game playing. But the game's just going to play in the background. I'm mostly not going to pick out specific bits of it to highlight the point I'm making. The reason for that is it just takes too long. One thing that's going to be really important in all of this is going to be using the minimap properly. And what I'm going to keep talking about, I'm going to keep going on and on about, is what I'm going to call open and closed lines of sight on the minimap. Now, open line of sight, what the hell is that? And all I mean is a line of sight where there are no green or blue arrows on the minimap. So on the screen there's a screenshot of the minimap from the game on lockdown, which I'm going to show you. The bits in red are open lines of sight, and all that means is there are no green or blue arrows there, and if your own team isn't there, then the enemy might be, so that is dangerous. There might be enemies there. Then the bits in blue, they're closed lines of sight, so that you've got a green arrow or a blue arrow, so chances are, although it's not absolutely certain, there's not going to be enemies there. Now, I'm keeping it simple in this vid, but of course you could have lines of sight where you do have a green arrow, but it's still dangerous, because the green arrow might be looking the wrong way or might not be very good. But let's keep it simple for now. And you can see, I mean, just looking at that map, I mean, even though we got B, there are no green arrows there, so there might be an enemy coming to shoot me from the left. I can see my teammates covering that long bit to the A flag, so I'm probably not going to get shot from there. Underground passage, it's an open line of sight, it's red, because there's none of my teammates there. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is being careful when you go into an open line of sight. And we'll see the guy I come up against isn't careful, he sprints, and I win the gunfight. Right, so step 1, navigate using the minimap and figure out where they are. So this is the first thing you do when you spawn. So you've spawned, most of the time you're going to be safe. You're going to be in the middle of green or blue arrows, closed lines of sight. And the tip here is navigate using the minimap, so just don't look at the main screen. So look at the minimap, look at the green arrows, look what flags the teams have got if it's Dom, and from that you'll get a pretty good idea of where the other team is. Obviously the other team is going to be where there aren't any green or blue arrows. I mean, if you keep looking at the minimap, or so long as you're safe that is, then you'll see things like gun flashes, see the other team flashing red, and you'll figure out where they are. So that's step 1, just look at the minimap, move using the minimap, and work out where they are. Step 2, still on the minimap, plan your route of attack. Think about which way to go. Okay? Don't just charge out or get to B in the quickest possible way. Have a think about it first. And when you think about which route to take, think about 2 things. Okay? So number 1 is try and take a route where they're not going to be expecting you. And it's not always going to be possible, but sometimes it will be. So remember from the last vid, this is all about giving yourself an advantage in gunfights. And one of the key bits of giving yourself an advantage is for them not to expect you to be where you are. If you just charge straight down the main lines of attack, they're going to know you're coming. There's probably going to be some dickhead there waiting for you, with just the top of his head poking out from behind something, aiming down sight at the doorway he knows you're going to come out of. So that's what you've got to avoid. You've got to get yourself into better situations than that. So fights which you're actually going to win. And second thing to remember when you're planning your route is try and go away where you're exposed to the lowest number of open lines of sight. So a lot of the time that'll mean going around the edge of the map, because obviously that's going to cut it down, but not always. So you can run down the middle if one side's covered by green and blue arrows. So if you've got closed lines of sight on one side of the map, then it's safe to go down the middle. And when you're working out where to go, map knowledge does come in. So in DOM there are areas of each map which are good places to be, and you're going to want to get to those areas. So step 2, plan a route. Okay, step 3, get ready to fight. Now, as soon as you actually get to an open line of sight, so a place where there might actually be enemies, the first thing to remember is you need to stop staring at the minimap. I mean, obviously, it'd be really stupid to keep staring at the minimap when there's someone who might be shooting you. So you need to look at the main screen. Now, it's fine to navigate with the minimap and plan your route when you're in a safe area, but you do it in a dangerous area, you're just going to get killed. Okay, so once you're in a dangerous area, it's just little glances at the minimap and no more. So once you get to some open lines of sight where the enemy could be, what do? First thing, like I said, is look at the main screen. Second thing, even though you're not looking at the minimap, try and remember the lines of sight. So think about it like driving or crossing a road. Okay, so if you drive a car out into a main road, you don't check left and right, you're going to be in an accident. Same with this. If you just charge out into an open line of sight without checking it properly, you're going to get shot in the back or in the side. Aim down sight as you go around the corner when you're looking into an open line of sight. Try and get behind cover if you can, but you won't always be able to get behind cover. But just generally be ready for a fight. So concentrate, be ready to hit fire, be ready to drop shot. So be alert. The person who's more ready for a fight is going to be the one who wins it. And absolutely do not ever sprint into an open line of sight. Never do it. Even if it's close to your own spawn, because you're just going to be a sitting duck. Any time you're walking into an open line of sight, always walk slowly and sort of be ready to hit fire or drop shot or whatever. You'll see if you watch, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's the bit in this game which is the map which I just showed you at the very beginning. You can see I walk into the underground tunnel and I'm very careful. I just slow down, get ready to hit fire, but I just run into a guy who's sprinting and he doesn't get a shot off. He's just dead straight away. Right, last step, after a kill, don't switch off. A very common mistake is just to reload straight away, so especially without sleight of hand. So I think you probably all know this already, but don't be a muppet and get caught reloading. Be ready for there to be a second guy. Even if you've got a silencer on, they might know you're there. They'll see the skull from where their teammate died. They might have seen your bullets as well. Just remember where the open lines of sight are. Don't just keep your gun aimed down at wherever you've just shot if there's no one else there. Just move it quickly to whatever other open lines of sight you think you're exposed to, because you might get shot from the side as soon as you killed the first guy. And then only once you realise you're safe and maybe duck behind cover, then you can reload, maybe quickly check your minimap to see where they are, maybe plan a route of attack again, but this time don't stare at the minimap because you won't be in a safe bit of the map. Look at the minimap, but do it as quickly as you can. So that's the 4-step plan. Work out where they are looking at the minimap, plan a route, still looking at the minimap, then when you get close to them, stop looking at the minimap, get ready to fight. Think of it like driving, checking all your open lines of sight, not running into an open line of sight like an idiot, being ready for the fight. And then finally, when you kill someone, don't switch off afterwards. Be ready for the next guy and keep on being careful. So get into the habit of doing all that. So it's all just second nature and you'll do better. Okay, so video's about to end now. I don't know if you've been watching it, but if you follow it through, you'll see I got the MOAB kills at almost no risk to myself at all. So just by checking the minimap, keeping myself protected against open lines of sight, giving myself lots of chances to shoot the other side from a better position. And I think in this streak I only get shot in 2 gunfights out of 24. And the other 22 that I win, they don't even shoot me once, and most of the time they're looking the other way. Completely rigged and loaded all the gunfights in my favour. made them as unfair as possible, only got into fights which don't involve any risk to me or involve only a little bit of risk to me. I mean, one of the fights where I did get shot, the shotgun guy at the beginning, that gunfight was completely rigged in my favour as well, and I really shouldn't have got shot at all. Now here's another point, not part of the 4-step plan, but just some general thoughts about how to get a MOAB, so how aggressive or campy you need to be. Remember, if you want to get a MOAB, you've got to go out and get the kills. I mean, 24 kills are not just going to land in your lap, so you have to move around a lot. And the trick is to keep moving a lot and look down as many open lines of sight as you can, at the minimum risk to yourself. I mean, so when you've looked down one bit of the map and there's no one there, just move on to the next one. Okay? Don't camp. To get a MOAB, you need to think controlled aggression, so most possible kills at minimum risk to yourself. And if you want to get a MOAB, you're going to need to pick your fights, and you're going to need to only pick fights which are on your terms. So avoid the bad fights where you're at a disadvantage and go for the good ones. I mean, one way people think they can do that is just by sitting in a corner, which doesn't work. I mean, first because you'll get revenge killed, but I mean, even if you don't get revenge killed, you're just never going to get 24 kills that way. I mean, you've got to work hard. You've got to move around a lot to be able to find 24 different good gunfights. You've sort of got to go out and find the ones that are in your favour. So gunfights where you've got the upper hand. I mean, in the game you just seen, you'll see I'm aiming down a lot, aiming down sight at just thin air. And what I'm doing is just working hard to look in as many places as I can where they might be and where I might get a cheap kill on them. A lot of the time I don't find them, but who cares? I mean, eventually I do. So 1 out of 3 times where I sort of look for an easy kill, I get it, which is good enough. So there you go. If you want to get a MOAB, keep your gunfights unfair, but don't camp. You need to work hard, move around a lot to be able to find unfair fights to get into. Camping's a way of just trying to keep the risk to yourself down, but you can still do that if you're careful and get more kills at the same time. I say don't camp. I mean, if you're on like 22 kills, you might want to consider camping it out. But generally, if you can see if you can get into the habit of following the 4-step plan, I mean, I think those 4 steps are going to be useful in Black Ops 2 as well, or any Call of Duty game. So that's it really. Probably won't do the last vid on how to fight until after Black Ops 2 is out.